How's it going, everyone? Wanna cover seemingly yet another major Xbox exclusive potentially coming to PlayStation 5, and this one makes all the sense in the world because I think the game would do very well on PlayStation 5, and I don't know how the commercial reception for the game is going to be as far as its release on Xbox and PC. And also do want to talk about Xbox Game Pass seemingly going up in price, so we'll talk about that at the end of this video. But right off the top, it looks like Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2 could be coming to PlayStation 5. It is currently in discussions, as noted in the Inside Microsoft's Xbox Turmoil article over at The Verge by Tom Warren. Now, Hellblade 2 is the kind of game that, and Ninja Theory especially, they are the kind of studio that, to me, I really hope doesn't go the way of Ghostwire Tokyo's studio in Tango Gameworks. Ninja Theory and Tango have a lot in common in the sense that they do a lot of high-quality games, and they've done high-quality games back-to-back, but from a Microsoft standpoint, how much are these games going to impact Xbox Game Pass? Is Hellblade 2 going to be a difference maker for Xbox Game Pass? I don't think it is. It's dropping on May 21st, and it's a game that's seemingly been in development for like 6-7 years. Hellblade 1 came out, I want to say, back in 2018, 2017? It's been quite a while, so there have been quite the resources dumped into creating Hellblade 2, and it's gonna be an 8-hour shorter experience. You know, 8 to 10 hours. There's a reason it's coming out at a $49.99 budget price point, still $20 more expensive than Hellblade 1, and seemingly going to be around the same length. You know, length doesn't determine quality of a game. I think a lot of games could do better being 8 hours at length, but I do think if they went with a $70 price tag, that would be a little like, whoa. But it's gonna be baked into a subscription service, so it's not even a big deal regardless. But I do question how a game like this is gonna be received commercially, and even beyond all that, how do you even assess how the game is received commercially? I mean, Hi-Fi Rush is this game that they said, Aaron Greenberg said that the game had smashed all of the key metrics, and they were very happy with that game. And what happened to Tango? Like, I'm going to bring this up over and over again because I am incredibly salty as far as Tango getting shut down, and Hi-Fi Rush is a game that I've talked about ad nauseum about how great of a game it is. I don't even know how they assess what the viability of these studios and the long-term success of these games are. Obviously, none of it matters, because if you are going to shut down Tango, well, what is even the thought process on Ninja Theory? I don't think Ninja Theory is safe. If they are willing to shut down Tango, how do you make any kind of argument that Ninja Theory is safe? They're working on more niche games. Hellblade is not going to be this mainstream juggernaut that gets a lot of people to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass. It's not going to be this game that gets a lot of people to buy it on Steam. I don't think so. I think people will check it out when it's discounted, but $50 might be a hard sell. I think some people will check it out through Game Pass, and it's not coming out on PlayStation 5, and I think the PlayStation audience, the audience that is into these bigger budget single-player experiences, it's not releasing there right away, so you're missing out on those sales. What is going to be the return on investment on Hellblade 2? It's not going to be that sizable. As much as I personally am excited about the game, guys, I talked up Hellblade Senua's Saga all the time. The game was an incredibly atmospheric and immersive action game, incredibly thought-provoking. It tackled a lot of cool themes, and I really enjoyed the game. Excited about Hellblade 2, but it's had a very, very lengthy development cycle, and I don't know how expensive it was to create this game, but I don't foresee that it was a cheap title. I don't think that it was a game that, you know, was a Hi-Fi Rush scale game. It clearly was not. Where Hi-Fi Rush was done by 25 people, 25 to 30 people, a very, very small team. Hellblade 2, I do believe, was done by a larger team, and even if it wasn't done by a larger team, it was in development for far longer. So what is going to be the metrics that they are looking at? What level of metrics are they looking at for this game to be deemed a success? But in what world, where Hi-Fi Rush couldn't prevent the closure of Tango Gameworks, could Hellblade 2, could you look at Hellblade 2 and be like, oh yeah, Hellblade 2 was successful enough for us to deem that game a success. You said Hi-Fi Rush was a success. It clearly was not, given that you shut down the studio that made it. I guess the other titles that Tango did weren't valued either. But again, what is the level that you consider Hellblade 2 to be a success at? And even if it comes to PlayStation 5, Hi-Fi Rush came to PlayStation 5, and I would imagine that the decision to shut down Tango was made, or at least thought of, prior to it coming out on PS5 Hi-Fi, that is. Hellblade 2 probably won't be coming out for at least 6 months. It'll probably be priced at $50, and I don't know how many people are going to be jumping out to buy Hellblade 2 at a delayed release at $50. It's just something to consider. Excited about the possibility that the game is coming to PS5. I think it should be on PS5. I think it should be on PS5 day one, because this is the type of game that needs to be on all platforms for the biggest success rate. And Hellblade did great on PS4 and 5, I would imagine, so, you know, makes sense to bring Hellblade 2. But that brings me to the next point of Xbox Game Pass going up in price, because I think Hellblade 2, you know, a game like this is directly connected to that. So let's also talk about that. Particularly as noted by Tom Warren on The Verge, very reputable source here. There's a lot of turmoil going on, and there has been consideration of increasing the price of Game Pass Ultimate again. It has already been increased once. If you're just on Game Pass PC, it's been at $9.99 a month, but I ultimately see that going up in price as well. There's also been internal debates on whether to put the new Call of Duty releases on Game Pass. Here's why this is so important. There's another element to this, but that we'll get into in a little bit. But here's why this is so important. As far as Call of Duty goes, it is a juggernaut of an IP, and it generates a lot of revenue, and it is very much a live service game that you get $70 out of, and then you monetize it beyond the initial $70 purchase. There's two schools of thought. You can put Call of Duty onto Game Pass and you negate a lot of the value in selling the game for $70, but then you also get more people jumping onto the game because it's on Game Pass. And then you can monetize those people that are playing the game, because that's the idea of a live service game. Call of Duty is incredibly powerful because it's a game that they sell for $70 and they can monetize it greatly on top of that. That is the dream for any publisher in the year of 2024. That's what Warner Brothers is trying to do with games like Suicide Squad. That is what Ubisoft tries to do with games like Skull and Bones, and those two games in particular flopped like crazy to the point where Warner Brothers blames their negative quarterly financials on Suicide Squad. But there are other titles that have popped off. Diablo 4, for the opinions that people have on it, is a $70 game, and Blizzard certainly monetizes that beyond the initial $70 purchase. And Ubisoft has been successful in monetizing like Assassin's Creed on top of the initial $60 purchase, but it's a difficult game to play. But obviously Call of Duty, being a juggernaut of an IP, even where it went super heavy into the live service model, it has parlayed that very successfully. Warzone as well. But once you put Call of Duty on Game Pass, the toothpaste at that point is out of the tube. It's hard to then get people to also spend $70 on it, but Game Pass is only on Xbox, so you're still going to be selling the game for $70 on PlayStation. But the reality is, you can offer as much value on a subscription service as you want. Ultimately, and this goes for every subscription service across the board, there is a ceiling that you are going to hit. There are only so many people on planet Earth that are going to sign up to a subscription service to play video games. And then once you hit that cap, the more value you add, the lesser and lesser the returns on that value proposition being added get, and you're spending more money and not getting a return on it. That's why I truly believe Tango is being shut down. That's why I believe Arcane Austin is being shut down. Tango, because I guess they deem Hi-Fi Rush and the other titles not viable to increase Game Pass subscriptions and viable solutions for their current business model. Even though Microsoft said that Hi-Fi Rush was a success in every key metric, honestly, that was probably some PR fluff, but I digress. At some point, rubber meets the road. Whatever saying you want to go with, you're adding value, you're not getting a return on it, and ultimately you have to be a profitable business. This business model has to be profitable. With every subscription service, that's the case. That's why subscription services, when they get started, a lot of the times you'll see that the value proposition is ridiculous, and it continues to get ridiculous and better, and then at some point, they hit that ceiling. At some point, they come to the realization it's time to circle back on the drawing board. How do we make this a profitable and viable business for the long term? Well, that comes in at the point where Game Pass is right now. It seems like subscriptions to the service have mostly stagnated, and what happens after that? You gotta make money, you gotta be profitable. What do? You increase the price of the subscription service. That has happened with every other subscription service, and best case scenario, the value proposition will stagnate. Most cases, the value proposition does in fact go down. This has happened across the board. They're trying to get the buy-in right away, your foot in the door. They value that a lot because once you get started with a subscription service, you kind of have to take the L for a while to get people subscribing, and that's why they got heavy hitters. That's why they're signing deals for the Persona 3 Reloads, for the Lies of P, for the Atomic Hearts of the world. Those are third-party titles that they're signing big money deals for because you have to get those publishers, get those developers to bring their games on over to Game Pass and lessen the value of their game inherently by offering those games on Game Pass. Those are incredibly expensive deals to facilitate and finalize, but Microsoft has been doing it, and they've been doing a lot of that. Well, now it comes to the point where, is this going to be a long-term profitable business? And for Microsoft, they gotta up the price of it. They got to pick and choose what deals they sign now. And you look at a game like Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2, I don't foresee this being a game that, gets a ton of new subscribers. They bought Ninja Theory. Hellblade 2's been in development for a while. They spent a lot of money creating Hellblade 2. Is it gonna be worth the return on investment? Probably not. Let's be real here. Probably not. Hellblade 2 is probably not going to be worth the amount of money that they spent on it. That's just it, bro. It's a $50 release as well on Steam. You can buy it there, but I don't foresee it selling that well on Steam either. I think it'll do okay. And there are rumblings that Hellblade 2 will ultimately come to Steam, to PlayStation 5, and that's why they're going this multi-platform route as well. They gotta monetize, they gotta extend the monetization periods of these games because Game Pass, it's hit that ceiling, or it's damn near close to hitting that ceiling, and Microsoft has to reassess how they're gonna move forward. That includes decreasing value proposition, increasing price point, and you're kinda seeing that now. Although, I still am of the belief Game Pass for now, still a ridiculous value, still incredible value. You've got games like Avowed coming out, Indiana Jones, Hellblade 2 is coming out. There's a lot of big titles, but that's why you also saw a lot of those Xbox games. Just damn near every first-party Xbox game has fake early access baked into it with the deluxe edition because they need to monetize these games further beyond just the subscription service to actually make money. That's something to consider as well. But that'll do it for me. Again, I think Hellblade 2 coming to PS5 at some point makes all the sense in the world. I just question, 6 months down the line, are people going to be jumping out to spend $50? I think the same can be said for Starfield if that comes to PS5. Even if they bundle in Shattered Space and the DLC content and everything like that, and it's $70, it's just, are people going to be jumping out to spend that kind of money? I think the luster's gone when it comes to games like Starfield and even a Hellblade 2 if it turns out to be really good, which I do believe it's going to be. But 6 months after release at $50, I think that's going to be a hard sell. Hi-Fi Rush is a $30 game. It's a little bit cheaper, and even that, some of the luster was gone by the time it came out to PS5. But that'll do it for me. Your thoughts down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.